my name is Sarah, and today we're talking about A Circle of Quiet by Madeleine L'Engle. I read this book over the months of August and September after it was recommended to me by several of my friends. It is the first book in the Crosswicks Journals series, which is a 4-book series of memoir/autobiography books that Madeleine L'Engle wrote in the 1970s and 1980s. If you've watched any number of my videos on this channel before, you've probably heard me talk about A Wrinkle in Time, The Time Quintet, and my general love of Madeleine L'Engle's fiction writing, so it's no secret that I was already a fan of her. But this is the first nonfiction book that she wrote that I have read, and I can honestly say that I love her nonfiction just as much, if not more, than I love her fiction writing. A Circle of Quiet, like I said, is a memoir/autobiography type book where Madeleine shares her musings on everything from raising children to relationships to how our world works to faith and the creative process and writing, and she has so much incredible insight into the creative soul, into why people need to create, why she creates, why individuals need to still tell stories even when they've been told by someone else already. She shares tons of anecdotes from her family's history, conversations she had between her husband, who is an actor, that she had with her kids, how they would constantly tell her if she had not been writing in a while that she really needed to write because she got kind of cranky when she didn't. She shares stories from various writing workshops and conversations she had with students that she taught over the years, and really just across the board shares about almost anything that you can think of. One of the things I thought was particularly interesting is that she shares a lot about certain moments that were very pivotal in her career. Like, I didn't actually know that A Wrinkle in Time took almost 10 years for a publisher to accept it. And she struggled with several other books being rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected. And she had moments where she wondered if she should just give up on this whole thing, and realized in some of those moments that she couldn't not write, that she still, whether the books ever got published or became bestsellers or well-loved classics or anything, she still had stories inside of her that needed to be shared and needed to be written. And that was something that I really appreciated, because I know for me, a lot of times I view really well-loved and often read authors like Madeleine L'Engle or Tolkien or J.K. Rowling or whoever, and we sometimes get this idea that it was all easy for them, that they wrote their story and it was published right away, and all of these accolades came with it. And we forget that sometimes people who write even extremely well-loved classics that win medals and awards and all of these other things don't always start off that way. That they still have to struggle through the whole process of finding a publisher and finding people that love the story and someone who gets what they're writing about, particularly with their first books. She actually has a quote pretty early on in the book where she talks about the Ecclesiastes idea, that there's nothing new under the sun, that every story has been told before, but she points out that we still have to tell the story. This is what she says. "It's all been said better before. If I thought I had to say it better than anybody else, I'd never start. Better or worse is immaterial. The thing is that it has to be said by me ontologically. We each have to say it our own way. Not of our own will, but as it comes out through us. Good or bad, great or little. That isn't what human creation is about. It is that we have to try to put it down in pigment or words or musical notations, or we die." And I love that thought process, that human creation, whether it's writing a book or writing a song or painting a picture or anything like that, is not about the magnitude to which we create. It's not about being on the New York Times bestseller list or having your album go platinum or having your work in a gallery or anything like that. It's just about the fact that we have to create. And I love that even for people like Madeleine L'Engle, who had traditional success in their creative field, she still recognized this thought, because she published tons of books, won tons of awards. Several of her books have been made into movies. A Wrinkle in Time and A Ring of Endless Light and all these others are books that are still so well loved by children. And I think it's really, really neat that she points this out, that the point of creating was never to be published. The point of creating was never to win awards or to be the best or anything. The point of creating is that you have to create. The other thing that I particularly loved about this book was a lot of Madeleine L'Engle's thoughts on the intersection of faith and the creative process. A lot of people may not realize this, but Madeleine L'Engle was a Christian, and she wasn't a Christian author in the sense that her books were overtly religious, but she wrote like C.S. Lewis and Tolkien did, with this allegorical sense where if you know what you're looking for and you're looking for it, you cannot help but miss the religious themes and overtones throughout her stories, especially A Wrinkle in Time. As a Christian who is a writer and a creator of other content as well, I was very encouraged by her thoughts, and I found myself, as I was reading this whole book, very challenged, and I could not help but wish that Madeleine L'Engle was still alive today and that I could just sit down with her and have coffee and pick her brain, because there's so much wisdom packed into this book. If you are a creative in any sense, I highly recommend it, but especially if you are a Christian creative, this is definitely a book that you do not want to miss reading. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars because there was nothing wrong with it for me. From start to finish, I was just completely blown away by the writing style, by the wisdom, and just everything about it was just wonderful and lovely, and I cannot recommend this book highly enough. Well, there you have it, friends. That is my review of A Circle of Quiet by Madeleine L'Engle. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts. If you have read A Circle of Quiet, any of the other Crossworks journals, or really any of Madeleine L'Engle's books, I would love to hear your thoughts on it as well. If you want to follow me elsewhere online, you can find me on Twitter at Sarah Ann Hayes, on Instagram at Sarah Ann Hayes, and my blog is at sarahannhayes.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye! Journal series, which if you've watched, she's serious.